and welcome to my channel. My name is Sean, sometimes known as the Beast, and this is going to be my recap type thing. I was lucky enough to go to Fortress Festival over at Scarborough. It was the weekend of 31st of May and 1st of June. There's the said ticket and the obligatory wristband. Fortress has been going for, I believe this was the third one. It was my first visit. I was fortunate enough to go with the company of Johnny Mac from over at Rock and Metal Plus. Simon, the Beady Red Viking, was supposed to go initially, but things construed against him, so he couldn't make it this year, unfortunately. He was definitely missed. I didn't take lots of photos and lots of videos. I'm not a fan of paying a fair bit of money to go and see bands and then sit and watch it through my phone. So John has done two videos, a Saturday review and a Sunday review, so plenty of footage on there. I will link John's two videos in the description, and you can see we watch predominantly the same bands, with a couple of exceptions when I went to see all the girly shit. So we arrived on the Friday. I was there a little bit earlier than John. Obviously John drove up from Wales. Got checked in, went out and actually had a nice, even though we've been friends for a number of years now, it was probably the first time we sat and actually just chatted about life in general, rather than constantly being music related. Now, I've said before, I stopped drinking alcohol just over a year ago now, but that didn't stop me from still going in the pubs. There's plenty of alcohol free lagers and Guinness and such like, so it was still sort of like felt part of the whole weekend. We did actually meet Pavel, the singer from Eternal Rot, on Friday evening, which was nice to finally meet him. Really nice bloke, really funny, really dry sense of humour. John had read on one of the forum posts about a pub in Scarborough that was frequented by Fortress goers. So he said, "Are we going there?" "Yeah, well, we can have a walk." And we carried on walking, and then walked a bit further, and carried on walking. And when we finally did get to this pub, there was actually one person in there that was going to Fortress. Nice pub, lovely pub, can't remember the name of it. But the lesson was learnt that if John says we're going to a pub and you don't know where it is, don't trust him. Terrible, terrible judgment. Anyway, we'll get on the gig. Got there on Saturday, lunchtime. First band on were Nemeris. They're from the UK. They are extremely good. What a fantastic opening set. They're running on the main stage. Very powerful sounding, very aggressive sounding. What I will say is, if you're a fan of black metal or not, Fortress Festival is such a welcoming type of place that there was no harsh lo-fi black metal, certainly none of the bands that I saw. So if that was potentially putting you off thinking, "No, it's all going to be corpse paint and stuff," it really wasn't. There was certain bands that wore corpse paint, but there was nothing lo-fi about any of the sets that I watched. Everything was really, really good. So Nemeris, great way to kick off the set. Perennial Isolation were on next in the Ocean Room, but we decided that we were going to nip back to the hotel rather than carrying merch around all day, because there was quite a lot of merch there. So we went back there and we actually missed Perennial Isolation. Now, I'd made the decision, my days of going down the front and in the pits and stuff, long gone. So I was quite content to find a little space somewhere near the sound decks for each and every band. Only got a backrest, great stuff. So we decided to check out the balcony for Aquilius. Now, they are from Australia, like atmospheric folk metal with a lady playing violin, keyboard and such like, and they were absolutely superb. Seeing them from where I did, up on the balcony, the sound was fine. I just slightly regret not going down on the floor and getting more of the full-on experience of staring straight at the band. But hey ho, that was a lesson for next time. But yeah, they were superb. Now, the next band up in the Ocean Room were Devastator. John was dead keen to see them. They were on at the same time. This year they actually had a third stage in the theatre, which was all like stripped back acoustic stuff. The band artist Dark Her was on in there, and anybody that's watched my channel before know I'm a big fan of bands like Chelsea Wolf and Mia Kerr, that type of thing. Now Dark Her is sort of a similar mix of the two really. Very folky and atmospheric, but quite almost quite doomy at times and stuff. So I went to the theatre and John toddled off to see Devastator. Dark Her were absolutely superb. I did actually buy the t-shirt. I would have shown you, but it's in the washing machine, so I can't. But yeah, such a haunting, captivating type voice. Like I say, just a guitar and a gentleman playing drums, like a couple of floor toms and stuff. Really, really good. The sound in the theatre was spot on for that set. After Dark Her, I just caught the tail end of Spirit Possession. What I saw of them I enjoyed, but again it was, I couldn't really give a proper review of them because I didn't catch enough of the set. I was more interested in going up to the Ocean Room to watch Suldusk. Now Suldusk are from Australia, and I think it's classed as neo-folk, so it's not really black metal as such. There is black metal elements into it, but obviously Suldusk were one of the main bands I wanted to see, because Anthesis, their album that came out last year, ended up being in my albums of the year list. Absolutely superb album. So, quick merch show. I managed to grab the debut album. I'm not sure what repress this one is. Lunar Falls. This is an absolutely stellar album. Really, really good. Very difficult to get hold of as well until the repress. Inside you get the thanks and such like on that side. The lyrics on that side. Again, the awful clear vinyl. I did also grab a patch, and can't get it without knocking everything flying. I grabbed the shirt as well. But yes, they were certainly a highlight in regards to. I expected them to be good. I was surprised just how good they really, really were. The Ocean Room was absolutely bouncing when they were on, and I would definitely like to see them doing even like a headline tour type set type thing. After Suldusk, went back to the main stage and caught the majority of the Great Old Ones. By then we'd actually been out and had some food and just had a bit of a chill outside for a little while. The Great Old Ones are from France, I believe, and they were really good. Again, what I saw of them, really good band. They had the crowd bouncing as well. After that, it was a clash between Selbst in the Ocean Room or Sylvain in the theatre. Now, Sylvain's an artist that, again, it's somebody I really admire, and I like her stuff. She's got that sort of haunting, melodic, Norwegian folk music type sound. So I went to the theatre and watched Sylvain. I'm not sure if John actually went back to the hotel and did another merch drop. But yeah, Sylvain came up. She did a very stripped down acoustic set. Really, really good in the theatre. Managed to grab a couple of the albums that I didn't have. And you'll see it's actually signed. So this was the debut, which is called Silent Chamber Noisy Heart. I should have known that. We get the inlay sheet with the lyrics on that side and some photos of the lady in question, and it's a double album on blue wax. And while I was there, I also got the second album, Wistful, which is also signed. Yeah, she was just really good. John actually came in and watched that one with me. I forgot he did actually go and see them, and I think he enjoyed her. He seemed to be pleasantly surprised by the chill stuff. But yeah, so after that, on the main stage, it was a band myself and John both were desperate to see. Ruined. They were absolutely superb, and it was a shame that John said last year there was a couple of bands that they wanted to see in the other stage, in the Ocean Room. Because they stayed to the end of one set, they weren't then either couldn't get in to the Ocean Room, or they were right at the back. So with that in mind, Ruin did their set. I think we left maybe 10 minutes early to go to the Ocean Room, because we both said straight right from day one we had to see Eate live, and they played. There's a 10-minute gap, but there was no way we were missing them. So we went up to the Ocean Room, managed to get in, stood and watched Eate, and to be honest, once Eate had finished, I was blown away by it. They were absolutely superb. That Ocean Room was in the palm of their hands. They could have sang fucking SpongeBob SquarePants, it wouldn't have mattered. They were absolutely fantastic. Such powerful, quite overbearing, what was the word that John used? I think he said, I can't remember, but it was just a fantastic set. And for me, they were definitely one of the best bands of the weekend. The set was just superb, absolutely stellar performance. After them, and slightly anticlimactic for me, was 1349 headlined in the main room. 1349 were amazing, they were absolutely superb. However, they weren't Eate. The energy that dragged me through Eate, because I was flagging by then. Obviously I'm not a young lad anymore, and I'm not a fit lad anymore. I was ready for a let's just chill out for a bit now. Stood and watched again 1349, superb, really good. Did quite a varied set from what material of theirs I do actually own. I don't own it all, but yeah, really good, and a great end to the first day. So on the Sunday, we were I was grateful not to have any type of a hangover, because the first band of the day were Abduction. Obviously Abduction are from the UK. They absolutely smashed the granny out of that main stage. It would have been horrendous to have gone in there with a hangover, because they were so loud and so powerful, just savage, brilliant set. And again, it was a band I was desperate to see. We got in there slightly early, and wow, absolutely superb. If you get the chance to see Abduction, even if you're not a fan of black metal, you need to go and see them. They were fantastic. After that, up to the Ocean Room, caught a little bit of Below from France, more of again more folk orientated black metal, really good. And the Ocean Room was quite busy. I was surprised. Excuse me. Now, in the theatre on the Sunday, they were doing like an in conversation with, I think there's 4 or 5 different panels up, but it wasn't something I was overly interested in. So at the same time as The Watcher was on, that's when Dodrit played. Dodrit from Sweden. They were a band I was aware of. They were a band I was looking forward to seeing, and they they are on a par, for me personally, that weekend, they were on a par with Eate. They were absolutely, they just destroyed Scarborough. They were absolutely incredible, to the point where I actually bought a couple of t-shirts. Excuse me again. I got the long sleeve of with the latest album cover on. I also grabbed a short sleeve as well, purely because I like the design, and obviously being collector scum, we had to get the vinyls. So we had the first self-titled vinyl, limited to 100. I was fortunate enough to get number 96, and that one is on blue wax. And then got, was this the second album? Mortal Coil, actually I think it's the third album. Mortal Coil, again, just incredible band, incredible albums, on a proper colour for a change. And then the album that for some reason I missed it last year, I know John had it in his, I believe he had it in his end of year list, Nocturnal Will. This is absolutely killer, just a wonderful, wonderful band with that sort of, I mean it's black metal, but it's that sort of almost got like a crusty edge to it, if that makes sense. Absolutely stupendous band, and I will definitely, if they tour, I will definitely be going to see them again. Fantastic band. So after Dodrit, I nipped up into the Ocean Room again, caught a little bit of autumn nostalgia. They are from they're from Slovakia. They were really good as well. To be fair, none of the bands I saw were poor. They all had their own little moments that you thought, yeah, I could get into these. Because I wasn't as invested in certain bands as others, because I didn't know the stuff, and you know, I'd maybe listened to them a few times on YouTube and such like beforehand. But yeah, really good. After Autumn Nostalgia, I was back into the main stage to watch Moonlight Sorcery. Now, it was quite funny watching them do the sound check in full corpse paint and stuff like that. They were, again, at the risk of repeating myself, they were really, really good. And they did quite, they were sort of quite heavy metal at times. You know, some of the guitar work was very much, yeah, I'm digging this, like. I did buy the last album and enjoyed it. Apparently they've got a couple of EPs out that are superior to the album, so I will get around to picking them up. So after Moonlight Sorcery, I went up into the Ocean Room to watch Aristacross. Now, the reason I wanted to see them was somebody put in the forum chat thing on Facebook, what an amazing band they were, you need to hear them. And I did actually buy the 2 albums prior to Fortress, and they were superb. They are superb albums. I haven't shown, they'll probably get shown in a update at some point. Seeing them live, I wish I'd gone up slightly earlier to get a bit closer to the front, because I was, again, stood right back. They were absolute, what a killer set again. Just the power and the energy and the like the little nuances in the music totally captivated me. Really, really good band. I think John said he'd seen them the year before supporting, I think he went to see Holder. I think he said he was supporting them, so he went to see Blasphemer in the conversation chat thing in theatre. Unfortunately Blasphemer cancelled, so he didn't get to see anything, but yeah, they were just superb. So then it was back down to the main stage for a band that I was expecting to be my highlight of the day prior to actually watching Dodrit, and that was Ulcerate. Like, Ulcerate was sort of the death metal band of the weekend, as it were. But just calling them a death metal band is a disservice, because they are live. They were phenomenal. The three guys, I think just John compared them to a death metal Rush, which I don't know where he got that idea from. But the amount of power and energy they came out with, and just absolutely wiped the floor with the main stage. They were superb, and a very, very close run third favourite over the weekend behind Anthesis and Dodrit. Superb band live. If you get the chance to see them live, I would highly recommend that you go. We didn't see Grift. They were on in the Ocean Room and we missed them. We went and got some food, went and did a merch drop, and John actually lost his little card holder with his driving licence in, his hotel key and stuff like that. So obviously it was a case of drop the gear off, get back to the venue, see if we could find his card holder. Luckily, when we'd been sat in the theatre, in the balcony, it fell out of his pocket, and there was a gentleman and a lady sat where John had been sat. They quite happily moved, and he found it, so it was a bit of a panic over type situation. So then the next band we saw after that was Fortress from Canada, and I really regret I'd sort of set myself a limit of what I was going to spend and what I was going to buy, purely because of logistics of getting it home on public transport. I really do wish I'd bought the Fortress vinyl, because they absolutely blew me away. I expected them to be good. I didn't expect them to be that good. They were absolutely just top notch. The sound, the atmosphere they managed to create, just the overall feeling of, yeah, these people know what they're doing. They are a top band, and I would definitely go and see them live again. So then it was a case of, we watched the end of Fortress, nipped upstairs into the Ocean Room to watch Fen. Now, I didn't own anything by Fen. I'd heard maybe one album, no idea where it was in the discography. So I sort of went in there with a little bit of, yeah, we'll watch them, because, you know, nearly at the end of the day. By this time I was flagging as well. And to be honest, Fen was superb. They were really good. I've said that about every band, I know I have. But they were really good. And in hindsight, I maybe should have bought some of the stuff. But again, you know, you can only spend so much, and it did end up being quite an expensive weekend because of just the amount of gear that you can buy. And then we went downstairs. Aglock were the main support band, and again, Aglock are a band I've heard of, got a couple of their earlier albums on CD. I've got no real, I'm not really invested in them like a lot of the people were. Now, I watched Aglock. They did about an hour and 30 minutes, I think, something like that. They were superb at what they did. They were really good. The crowd were loving it. There was guys my age almost in tears, because they were recognising the songs. My overall feeling of Aglock were brilliant at what they did. They just seemed really happy, and that sounds daft, but they just seemed like too cheerful almost. And I don't, it's maybe just, you know, it's one of them things that might have been because at the end of the day, legs were shot to shit, back was aching, a little bit delirious, but they were really good. Just, I did say to John, yeah, these are seemed a bit too happy for me. And he said, well, you sat and enjoyed all that girly shit in the theatre yesterday. Yeah, but I expected that to be like happy and cheerful and, you know, girly shit. I don't know what I was expecting, to be honest, from Aglock. And like I said, I did really enjoy, the set was perfect. By all accounts, they went through pretty much the whole discography, like selections of it. The singer did say, right, and this is off our latest album, and it came out 11.5 years ago, and the crowd just, they knew what he was going to sing before he even started. Really professional, professional set, as it were. So that was it. That was the end of Fortress Festival. We slowly made our way back up to the hotel, grabbed a Mackey's on the way, and yeah, absolutely stunning weekend. The tickets went on sale for next year on the Monday morning, so that was a case of, well, we'll have to grab one of them. I was already on my way home by then, so I messaged John and said, you know, the link's up, mate, if you want to get the ticket for next year. Hopefully we'll get a lot more people. What I would say is, like I said earlier on, if you're not a fan of black metal because you think it's going to be all raw and nasty and lo-fi, then you are honestly missing out on one of the best festivals I've ever been to. Massive shout out to Reaper Agency for putting it on. Massive shout out to all the staff, security, bar staff in the venue. Everyone was really nice, was really friendly. There was a feeling of like camaraderie between everyone. I was speaking to people, and within a matter of minutes of talking to somebody, it was as if you'd known them for years. Got to meet a few people out off Instagram. We got recognised by a gentleman in the theatre, on the balcony. He said to John, "Oh, really, I really like your channel." And he said, "Oh, I knew Sean. You both cost me a fortune on recommendations." And that was sort of a little bit of validation of why we do things like this. Now, obviously, because we're both twats, we forgot to ask him his name. So if you're watching this, I do apologise. It was very nice to meet you. So we met a couple of people that hadn't got in to see Eate. They were in the hotel. We shared the elevator down with them the next morning, and they were both fuming because they'd stopped to watch the end of Ruin and then missed Eate. But you know, if there's a band you're desperate to see, it might mean sacrificing 10 minutes of the previous band to make sure you get to see a band. So yeah, so that's it. Again, I'll link John's 2 videos down in the description if you want to go and see some of the live footage. He got some really good footage, and hopefully next year there might be a few more of the VC family turn up, and if you are there next year and you just happen to see a big stupid idiot stood at the back complaining about backache and stuff, come across and say hello. If you've enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up and such like, and doing all the subscribers and stuff like that. Pop down in the comments, correct me if all the things I've said have been wrong, and don't be put off by a festival like Fortress thinking it's going to be all corpse paint and studded belts and such like. There was a lot of studded belts and such like. I probably spent as much time looking at patches and t-shirts as I did watching the bands. And the merch, take plenty of money with you, because the merch was ridiculous. I could have spent thousands of pounds, but like I said, I set myself a budget, set myself a limit of what I could carry home, and managed to stick to it. So that's it for this one. We will be back with some type of an update in the coming few days or whenever, and as always, look after one another. Enjoy whatever music you're listening to, whatever genre of music you're listening to, and until the next one, cheers!